Well, we had another generational performance here in the Oklahoma City and San Antonio Spurs Game 5, a pivotal game, obviously, in the history of NBA playoff rounds. All series, I talk about it often. In a 2-2 tied series, the winner of Game 5 ultimately goes on to win 95% of the series, roughly, across all rounds. And that made tonight's game a pivotal must-win game. And the San Antonio Spurs had the opportunity to rip all the momentum in this series and go back home to San Antonio up 3-2 in a closeout opportunity. It certainly looked like a at least distinct probability that the San Antonio Spurs could do just that because yesterday, actually, AJ Mitchell was ruled out in advance of this game. And of course, just about an hour before tip-off, Jalen Williams was also ruled out in this game. And look, if the Oklahoma City Thunder have either one of them, they are an elite team. Of course, Jalen Williams was All-NBA last year, All-NBA defense. They have overcome his absence throughout this season, primarily thanks to AJ Mitchell. And in games this season, in both the playoffs and regular season, where AJ Mitchell starts, when Jalen Williams is not available, well, the Thunder are 19-1 in those 20 games behind AJ Mitchell. But in games where both AJ Mitchell and Jalen Williams miss this season, the Thunder in 21 such instances, just 11-10, an average mediocre team. This was the game for the San Antonio Spurs to get. And yes, a couple things were working against the San Antonio Spurs, of which we will get into, of course. But I think it does bear mentioning, as great as Victor Wembanyama is, and as great as he already is at 22, I think you can make a case that he's already the best player on the planet, and he is undeniably in the top 3 ranking somewhere, regardless, or no matter which way you want to rank him, he's somewhere top 3 in my opinion. But 4 of 15 under such circumstances is completely unacceptable for him. We've seen it in these series with Nikola Jokic. Jokic has some off games. He has some historic games. When you wash it out, though, he's got to do it 4 times. Jokic has to be historic 4 times for them to have an opportunity to beat this Oklahoma City Thunder team. And he has to do it against ridiculous odds because the Thunder are perfectly positioned to defend him. Well, the same is true now for Victor Wembanyama. He has to be historic in 4 games. He has been fantastic in 2 of the 5. They've won the 2. They've lost the other games when he was either mediocre, and tonight, I think, was his worst game of the entire series. He gets to 20 points just because of 12 free throws, but really 4 of 15 shooting from the field, just simply not good enough. Credit where credit is due for the Thunder's part. Isaiah Hartenstein, I thought, was terrific on Victor Wembanyama tonight. And the San Antonio Spurs likely should consider, I don't know what Mitch Johnson's going to do in these next couple days off, but I would consider starting double bigs and getting Luke Cornett on the floor, some substantial run with Victor Wembanyama. It just wasn't working against the double bigs tonight of Oklahoma City. And Keldon Johnson was defending the bigs a lot. Like Keldon Johnson was matched up several times tonight on Chet Holmgren, and it always resulted in something bad for the Spurs. So anyway, a lot of things need to be sorted out for the San Antonio Spurs between today and Game 6 in San Antonio, which of course is the very definition of a must-win now for San Antonio, as they will be facing elimination, playing for their very basketball lives. And that is in no small part of, again, in my estimation, due not only because of the poorest game by Victor Wembanyama, but because 2 of the biggest players for the Oklahoma City Thunder stepped up in a major way tonight at home in Oklahoma City in what I thought was a must-win game for Oklahoma City. Not 2 individual players per se, 2 group entities. And they are 2 of, in my estimation, the most important entities for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Their bench, which was, again, terrific tonight, mainly led by Alex Caruso, who was terrific in the first 3 games. Terrific. He was averaging 21 points per game on 80% true shooting over the first 3 games, and he was leading the team in plus minus in the first 3. Last game, he laid a goose egg, 0 points. He was awful, and they lost. Tonight, Caruso was back. 22 points in only 28 minutes on 5 of 10 shooting from the field, 4 of 8 shooting from the three-point line, plus 18 for him. So he was massive. I think, look, Jared McCain was big tonight. 20 massive points for Jared McCain in elevating off the bench. Again, like I said, no A.J. Mitchell, no Jalen Williams, no problem. Because Jared McCain sauntered through his TikTok dance line with his nails painted and probably his brassiere on, and was just knifing shots in the third quarter for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Again, not good in the first half. I think he only had 3 points in the first half, 17 in the second half. He was big down the stretch for them, 20 points. So the bench, yet again, doing big things for the Oklahoma City Thunder. The bench just seemed to be a step ahead of the San Antonio Spurs all night long. They had massive guys in the plus-minus department. Cason Wallace in 31 minutes, a game best for the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight, plus 29. And the other entity that I'm referring to that was big for the Oklahoma City Thunder, that has been big all year long, the officials, of course, the referees. They were big for the Oklahoma City Thunder because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was at it again. Another, to me, mediocre game for the alleged league MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Kudos for those 32 points, 16 of 17 from the free throw line to get him. He came into tonight's game shooting only 39% from the field in this series, a guy who shot, famously 55% from the field during the regular season. The only guard ever to score 30 points and go 55% in the regular season. Came into tonight through 4 games in the series shooting just 39%. And tonight from the field, just 7 of 19. Now, my math's not great, but that's 37%. So again, a guy who's shooting 39% for 4 games comes in the 5th game and again shoots sub 40. But luckily for him, the officials had it going tonight. They had it flowing. SGA, 17 free throws, 16 of 17 for him. But still, just plus 8 for old SGA tonight. Plus 8. In the starting lineup, Isaiah Hartenstein, plus 24 in only 31 minutes. And like I said, off the bench, they had some big guys coming. Kenrich Williams with a plus 8, Alex Caruso with a plus 18, and Cason Wallace with a plus 29. Ultimately, SGA just really isn't all that important or valuable in my estimation. So this, I ultimately don't know. I didn't know last game how this series was going to go, and the Spurs tied it up. It's a coin toss. I thought coming into this game 5 now, huge advantage Oklahoma City. But I did say if they were to win, it's not going to be on the back of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander doing MVP things. It's going to be because the strength of this team comes alive again at home when they have to, and so they did. Chet Holmgren, 16 points on 6 of 9. Isaiah Hartenstein, in addition to the big defense on Victor Wembanyama, neutralized Wemby most of the night, quite frankly. Isaiah Hartenstein adds 12 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists, and 6 of those, by the way, offensive rebounds. Again, Chet with 16 on 6 of 9. And then, like I mentioned, Jared McCain off the bench into the starting lineup, 20 points for him, just 7 of 19. But like I said, he hit some big shots down the stretch. When the Spurs were trying to chip in a little bit at the beginning of the fourth, it was McCain that really had it going, was hitting those threes. And then Caruso with 22. So enough total team effort from the Oklahoma City Thunder, along with the officials. Look, I hate to complain about the officials, and I typically am not that person because I think, by and large, it all washes out, generally speaking. However, there were some bad stretches in this game, some really bad stretches. Like there was a moment where on the Spurs end, there was an obvious goaltend committed. I believe it was Luke Cornett. It was a clear-cut goaltend. They don't get that goaltend. Mitch Johnson then is campaigning for some kind of a review or a call. The officials don't recognize it, don't grant it. And so he then loses his mind, as well he should. So he freaks out and runs onto the court, and then he's called for a technical foul, and they give SGA one of his 17 free throws, obviously, on that technical foul. And then there were several, I thought, instances. Look, Wembanyama shot 12 free throws, but there were several. There was one, there was a run point in the game where they needed a basket to break it, and Wembanyama got like a lob to him. Clearly pushed. Clearly, Isaiah Hartenstein was elbowing him in the side the whole way to the basket as Wembanyama was catching the ball and trying to guide it in. That didn't get called. Oklahoma City goes the other way and gets a basket. So just some pivotal swing points throughout the course of the game where I thought some of the calls were just atrocious in favor of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I really did not see it evening out or balancing out at all at any point throughout the course of the game. But, it is what it is. That is what the Thunder are. They have the advantage, even missing their second best player and their fifth best player, or fourth or fifth best player, two of their top 5 players. You still have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander shooting 37% for the game. And still, the Oklahoma City Thunder win 127-114 because they just have so many things going for them. Even no matter who they're missing, how many pieces they're missing, they just have so much depth, so many elite players coming at you in waves, and then you have to deal with the officials as well. That is why this Oklahoma City Thunder team is nearly unbeatable, and it's why the other guy on the other team has to be historic in order to neutralize that advantage. And look, it's hard to be historic against an elite defense that's allowed to foul you basically every time you touch the ball 4 times out of 7. This is what I talked about last year when Jokic played them. Basically what I talk about every time Jokic plays them. And now it's Victor Wembanyama. So not making any excuses for Victor Wembanyama. 4 of 15, nowhere near good enough. Even more puzzling for Victor Wembanyama, and something that he just simply has to get better at for the next 2 games, if they're going to play in 2 games even. 2 consecutive games now in single-digit rebounds for him and low rebound totals. I mean, he played 38 minutes tonight with only 6 rebounds. Just simply not good enough for a guy that is 7'7" and is expected or anticipated to control the glass for them. I mean, Julian Champagnie had 8 rebounds tonight. He led the Spurs in rebounding. So 38 minutes, 6 rebounds for your 7'7" center. Just not good enough. They get out rebounded 48-41. And 14 offensive rebounds for the Oklahoma City Thunder. So something that's clearly on the shoulders of Victor Wembanyama, something that he absolutely positively has to get more aggressive and assertive and clean up moving on into Game 6 if they are to win Game 6. I think they will. I think they will go and extend this series, play big, play with more energy. I think the role players will be better. Special shout out, by the way, to Devin Vassell, who was a bucket of garbage tonight. 2 of 11 and 2 of 9 from the 3-point line. Just 6 points in 36 minutes. He had a number, I thought, of huge corner threes or good. He had good looks and just could not make anything tonight. Vassell was great last game. So anyway, these guys, hopefully these role players for San Antonio, will travel, as they say, or will play better at home, whereas the role players on the Thunder will not travel as well as they played at home. That's what you hope for. And then a historic performance by Victor Wembanyama, and that should do the business for them, do the deed, and they should, in my estimation, be able to force a Game 7. But an uphill battle now for sure, trying to ask this San Antonio Spurs team to beat this Oklahoma City Thunder team 2 times in a row, including the second time in a row, the second of 2 games, I should say, being at Oklahoma City. So, look, it's an uphill battle now. San Antonio had a golden opportunity with those 2 inactives for the Oklahoma City Thunder in Jalen Williams and A.J. Mitchell, and they just let it get away. So, I think they were down 2 at the end of the first quarter, and I knew that we were in for a long night because I thought I was expecting, when I heard about those inactives tonight, I was expecting the Spurs to win, truth be told. We knew AJ Mitchell wasn't going to play when it was announced just before tip-off that no Jalen Williams. I thought that the Spurs were going to come and handle business tonight. But, it just didn't go that way. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, again, really to me was not the reason. An okay game for him, 32 points, but 37% shooting. The team as a whole shot 48% from the field tonight. So Hartenstein, 6 of 8, Holmgren, 4 of 9, Lou Dort, 3 of 7, McCain, 7 of 19 also, Caruso, 5 of 10, Kenrich Williams, 3 of 3, Cason Wallace, 2 of 5. Basically, everybody on the team shot better than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander tonight. Everybody. And he was singled a lot again tonight. So get out of here with they were doubling him the whole time, so they were making it harder. Now listen, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has the easiest arrangement of any all-time great that has ever been an MVP winner in my estimation, other than Kevin Durant, but he didn't win his MVP in Golden State. He won his MVP in Oklahoma City, where the ask wasn't as easy as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The easiest ask of any MVP winner ever, at least in the 2000s, at least in a quarter of a century. So all credit to Oklahoma City tonight and their team. Very little credit to SGA in my estimation. And a definite honorable mention to the officiating. We'll see how the officials look in Game 6, but it does look like we're just going to go back and forth, alternating back and forth, who's getting the calls, who back and forth at home and away. And it looks like we'll just go to Game 7, where probably the Thunder are going to get away with murder from an officiating standpoint in that game. Elsewhere around the association, guys, today, and look, we can talk about the game. I'm sure we will dig into the game tonight. We can talk about anything you want to talk about, quite frankly. We'll get into the comments here in a moment. But in additional news around the NBA, I pulled up ESPN.com today midway through the day, or maybe early evening, just to see. I was actually looking for injury updates on Jalen Williams, and I saw a Joe Mazzulla breaking news. I just saw a Joe Mazzulla, and it was like a breaking news bulletin. And I was like, oh my gosh, the Celtics did it. They fired Joe Mazzulla. Good for them. And then I read the whole, the extent of the exact headline, and it was that Joe Mazzulla wins Coach of the Year. So very, very different from what I was anticipating that breaking Joe Mazzulla bulletin was going to be. And look, I thought Joe Mazzulla did do a fabulous job in the regular season. I think he absolutely cost himself a job in the postseason, but I didn't expect that the Celtics would do it. I certainly also, despite the fact Joe Mazzulla had a fantastic regular season, didn't expect Joe Mazzulla to be Coach of the Year this year. I think he probably should have finished second or third. If I had a vote, I likely would have voted for Bickerstaff or Mitch Johnson. I think either one of those guys, did anybody have, I know the Celtics won 3 games this year without Jason Tatum for the majority of the year. But Jaylen Brown played MVP caliber. They have a good roster otherwise, and they were in the Eastern Conference. Now, and so were the Detroit Pistons for that matter, but they had a bunch of 24, 22, 23-year-olds, and they won 60 games in the Eastern Conference. So more games than the Celtics for Bickerstaff. And then did anybody have the Spurs winning 62 preseason? Oh, and by the way, Victor Wembanyama missed 18 games this year. So, and they still win 62 games. So I really thought that Mitch Johnson and JB Bickerstaff did much better jobs than Joe Mazzulla. So I was pretty shocked to see Joe Mazzulla winning Coach of the Year today. So I had to mention that and slide that in as well. Guys, but we are now hitting the roughly 20-minute mark here of the show. Skap Live After Dark. You know what it is. I, of course, am your host, Jay Skapanek. And as always, we are joined by moderator Gary. Gary, welcome in. What's up to you, my friend? Say a little something to the people, will you?
Well, no doubt they will have Scott Foster, the series extender, calling Game 6. So I'm 99% sure the Spurs get that. And then we're back on to Game 7. And if Tony Brothers is calling that, then we can expect more. It's just so much controversy in the playoffs in general every year. All this controversy with the calls, and it's ridiculous because the last game Scott Foster called in San Antonio, and it looked pretty even for the most part. But I would have thought that if it was closer, I think Scott probably would have favored the Spurs. So I'm expecting that either, we beat them handily in game 6 or else it's close and Scott gives the Spurs a couple questionable calls. I mean, who knows? Unless a team just comes out firing from the gate and builds a huge lead, then there's not much refs can do. But if the contest is hanging in the balance, then just 1 to 2 bogus calls can just completely determine the outcome.
Yeah, Gary, it is. It's unfortunate that there's this much swirling around. Like there's this much around the official crew or whatever team gets the call. Like we need to have more consistency. The reason why there are these conspiracy theories and people suggesting that the NBA is rigged or that these games are rigged or the outcomes are rigged is because it changes so drastically from game to game. Like how a game is being called based on what crew is on the game or assigned the game. Like it simply shouldn't be like that. Gary, I used to do something I don't really talk about. And look, we're going to get to the comments real quick. And I don't want to get down this weird rabbit hole of strange storytelling this early on in the show. Typically, I like to keep it basketball and comments only for at least the first hour. But I used to do a job. It was like a psychometric evaluation job where this was young in my life, fresh out of college, where I used to try to evaluate standardized testing with long form responses. So if there was like an essay attached to like an SAT, essentially, I would score those SATs. And ultimately I became like a project leader for it. So I then had to train other groups of people of how to see and interpret these essays and how to score them appropriately. And the way we did that was you trained with the boards of education from the individual states of where you would be getting those tests from. And they had a packet, like a group of teachers had a packet of like 100 tests. And they would argue back and forth in a room over what score a certain test should get and why. You then created these scoring, rubrics or different ways, like different sheets and training apparatuses of which you could then go and show a whole group or a whole room of people like, this is why these tests should be viewed this way. And the whole goal was to have everybody that reads that test be able to see it exactly how the Board of Education saw it in each of those states. That is the way the NBA should be training their officials. A foul should be viewed the same way for every crew chief, every crew, every officiating crew that is assigned a game. There shouldn't be interpretation from one crew or one guy to the next. That is why that it looks like these games are rigged or highly questionable and suspect, because you can't, like when you're watching a game and it looks completely different, the things that team A is getting away with versus team B, the things that player A on this team is getting to the free throw line for one game and not the next. Like it looks like two different sports altogether in some instances. And that simply isn't right. And it's not fair to the overall product, I don't think, or like the fan base in general. And it's something that the NBA really should clean up, or at least aspire to clean up in the offseason. Because Oklahoma City is so dependent on how they're getting called that game. How is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander getting his flop calls? Are the opposing team, are they getting any calls from the mugging and assault that all of the other Oklahoma City Thunder defenders are laying on them? Like, are they getting calls? Are they not getting calls? Then are you turning the ball over a shitload because in light of that? So the Spurs weren't terrible tonight. 15 in terms of turnovers, 15 turnovers. The Thunder had 16. So that's fine. That's a job well done for the San Antonio Spurs tonight. They have had 20 in a couple of these games. Can't really win a game with that kind of output from a turnover standpoint. But ultimately, look, I think this will come down to a game 7. I will be surprised. Victor Wembanyama played, Gary. This was one of the worst games I've seen him play late in the basically all year, really, but certainly in the playoffs. I don't believe that he's going out like this at home in game 6. Like on the heels of this game tonight, 4 of 15, and Hartenstein just got the better of him, I thought, tonight. I don't think he's going to go home now in game 6 and get eliminated after that. I think he does whatever it takes early and often. He goes to the basket. He gets around the rim more. He's more assertive. He gets more calls than at the beginning of the game. And they feed off of that energy and confidence and productivity by him. Maybe the shots, the outside shots start opening up more for the role players who are at home now, and those shots are falling more. I think the Spurs win a fairly easy game next game in game 6 to extend to game 7. But then, I mean, Gary, all bets are off. Playing at home, home team historically favored substantially. What's the officiating core or crew that gets it? Probably an Oklahoma City friendly crew. And then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is just going to probably be getting to the free throw line at will in that game 7. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, of course. We still have that game 6 to take care of first. And we still have tonight's game to unpack if you guys so choose to do so, of course. We are around the half an hour mark, which is the time of the show, guys, which, again, welcome in Skap Live After Dark. Jay coming to you and moderator Gary from the beautiful sunny state of Florida, the East Coast, of course, of the good old US of A, nearing midnight. Welcome into all of you guys that are here, over 600 people, probably a sullen 600 people by and large, other than a few Oklahoma City outliers that I'm sure are in here peacocking right now. Welcome into you guys as well. And Gary, unless you want to add something else, what do you say we fire away at some comments at this point? All right, sir. Then with that said, let me welcome in Jay Savage, 8295. What's up, Jay, my fellow Jay namesake? Let's start with you, my friend, and thank you for being here. Gary, what does Jay have to lead us off with here tonight? You're muted, Gary.
SGA about to get another donation title, LOL. Is there a reason you didn't display it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me get that up. What's up, Jay? Welcome in. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, look, they won last year. They got taken to 7 twice. The Pacers' best player got hurt like early in game 7. So that game was pretty much over right off the bat. When you lose your star player in a game 7 on the road, like that's a wrap. And then of course the Nuggets were giving the Oklahoma City Thunder everything they could ask for in that semifinal series in the West. When I think the second best player on the team, the second most important player on the team, Aaron Gordon, popped that hamstring at the end of game 6, a win for the Nuggets. The Nuggets opened up. They were up like 20-9 in the beginning stages of the first quarter of game 7. But then the fouls just started coming. Alex Caruso was hanging off of Nikola Jokic like a pull-up bar up and down the court. And they turned the ball over like 25 times as a result of the mugging and assault that the Oklahoma City Thunder were getting away with in that game. And then no Aaron Gordon. That was a wrap. So yeah, SGA with, like I've talked about his on-offs this year being minus 19, meaning that his team is 19 points worse coming into tonight. I'm sure that will improve a little bit tonight, not drastically. Last year, he was like plus 1.2 on the on-off. So basically a net even when he was on the floor. This team goes as their bench goes as their team defense goes, and in some instances goes as the officiating crew that is assigned the game goes. So I think there was a little combination of all of that tonight. Though I will say kudos. Gary, what's your take on Isaiah Hartenstein? Do you think that was more Isaiah Hartenstein or more Wemby not playing the right way? Or do you think Hartenstein just had a good game tonight on him?
Combination of both. Wemby seems to go, and this is what I've been talking about with the inconsistency and immaturity of this team. They've done it all year. I've been watching pretty much all their games throughout the whole year. And the thing about this team is every time they start to look a certain way, they turn around and do the opposite. They'll look really good for a couple games, and all of a sudden they'll lay a dud. Like, remember when they beat OKC the first time in the Cup game? Then they turn around and laid an egg to New York in the finals. Then they dominated OKC on Christmas, and then 2 days later got dominated by Utah. So this is a trend with them, which is why I expect for them to look really good game 6. Unfortunately, all bets are off for game 7, especially if Tony Brothers calls the game. But one thing, as you know, I've always been concerned about is Wemby's stamina, which he just did not look energized tonight. And I don't understand it, but it's like one game he looks like the next Wilt Chamberlain, and then today looks like Rick Smits. You know, it just can't keep up. So hopefully over time he's going to mature and overcome this, and he'll learn his body better and how to deal with. I don't get it. I'm baffled why he wasn't more aggressive today. Hartenstein did well, but I don't think it was just like Wemby couldn't stop Hartenstein or anything like that. I just think he was off, and Hartenstein in return feasted off of that.
Yeah. And to the point now, to the next, the Wizard of Ice, and welcome into you, Wizard of Ice, and thank you for being here. He says that Vic has taken a wee 3 times in the series now, shaking my head. And yeah, look, coming into tonight's game, he was averaging 30, 13, and 4. 30 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks per game. So 30, 13, 4, and 3. See, this guy is absolutely Jokic level now, where like that's 3 of his 5 games are bad with that average line. Like, that's how you know you're getting great, when that's you taking out wee. But to the Wizard of Ice's point, though, in game 1, Wembanyama, as we know, was all-time great. 41 points, 24 rebounds, controlled the defensive end, hit timely, massive clutch shots down the stretch. In game 2, I mean, not great, but not terrible. 21 points, 17 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 blocks. Like, that's a good game. That's a good enough to win. He shot 50% in that game, by the way. Then in game 3, I thought not necessarily great, but again, not terrible. 26 points, 8 of 15. Now, in that one, though, only the 4 rebounds. Like, that's tough. So he had 26 points on 8 of 15, but only the 2 blocks, so low for him, and then 4 rebounds. Like, that is just inexcusable, I think. Just 4 rebounds for a 7'7" center. And then 11 of 22 for 33 points for Victor Wembanyama in the last game. So a great game again, although only 8 rebounds again for him. So this is actually his 3rd straight game now under 10 rebounds, which is pretty crazy. And tonight, by far, his worst game of the series, 20 points on 4 of 15. So I don't know. I wouldn't say necessarily that he's played 3 bad games. I'd say he's had 2 mediocre games, 1 poor game, and then 2 great games. 1 legendary game and 1 really good to great game. So, like, he's really only played 1 bad game in 5. Like, Shea, to me, has yet to play a great game. Shea hasn't played a great game yet in 5 games. And Wembanyama's played 2 great games. And the poor games for Wemby are still better than Shea's games by and large throughout this series. So it's just the arrangement that Wemby has right now versus the one that SGA has. SGA doesn't have to do much to get these wins, frankly. Like, he just doesn't. Wembanyama is expected and required to do more by his team. So I think he will answer the bell in game 6. And I think this series will go a game 7, which, Gary, I believe would be what? Thursday night is game 6. And then, if necessary, game 7 on Sunday. Is that what we're talking about here?
Saturday.
Saturday. Wow. Okay. All right. So Saturday primetime game 7. That would be juicy. That would be a saucy game for sure in the Skap Live After Dark area. My goodness. All right. The Incorruptible is in next. Welcome in, sir. A regular through and through. Great friend of the show. I appreciate you as always being here. Gary, go ahead and offer this question or comment from the Incorruptible tonight.
I don't understand how the refs get away with blatant incompetence. Wemby seems tired every other game. Why do the Spurs play chase down defense?
Yeah, I mean, I don't love the way the Spurs play sometimes on either side. I think tonight more troubling to me was like, look, they got down 20 in the third, and then they cut it pretty quickly to 8. And then they just couldn't really get any closer. But when they had it down between like 8 to 11, like they really should have just started going to the basket more and like trying to get good shots. Instead, they became obsessed with just chucking 3-pointers. It was like they were trying to get the whole rest of the gap up in one shot. Like you got it from 20 to 8 in like 2 or 3 minutes. Like just good shot selection now the rest of the way. Like you don't need to keep gunning threes, but they did. They just got infatuated with the 3. And I mean, they just weren't making it tonight. They shot 41 3-pointers tonight, 41, and made only 12. So 29% shooting from the 3-point line on 12 of 41, like just simply not good enough. That was the difference, really. The Thunder made 2 more threes than the Spurs on 9 fewer shot attempts from behind the arc. They shot 14 of 32, 44%. So, like the Spurs, I just didn't think they needed that at that time of the game. Like, I was so annoyed with the shot selection tonight at times for the Spurs. And I think that's just it. Look, you got to get timeouts if you're Mitch Johnson when that starts happening. I think he's trying his best with the Victor Wembanyama substitution pattern. He was -8 tonight, plus minus, but it's just such an impact when he's not on the floor. But yeah, I mean, he only played 38 minutes, but he did look absolutely gassed throughout much of this game. So I don't know, guys. I think, look, it always seems to happen, and especially young role players always play better and more energized at home. So I do think they get a natural lift on Thursday night, but it's all just going to be on Victor Wembanyama. Like if he's going to play like he did in games 1 and 4, they're going to win. If he plays like he did in 2 or 3, or definitely tonight, like they're going to be eliminated. So he's so great. He's so competitive. He's been so terrific in these playoffs to this point. I anticipate him to have a great game and to pull them into a game 7. But we'll see. I mean, I think now at this point, they're going to be cautious now with AJ Mitchell and Jalen Williams. So that would probably play in as well to their favor because, look, their back's not against the wall anymore. They've got that safety net available for them in game 3. So I think maybe at least one, if not both of those guys sit out again. AJ Mitchell was deactivated so quickly, so far away from tonight's game that my expectation is he will not be back. And we'll see. Look, Jalen Williams has been upgraded to a hamstring strain. So that typically isn't day-to-day. It's week-to-week. So maybe neither of them will play, even if there's a game 7. We'll see. So much up in the air still moving forward. But unfortunately, the Oklahoma City Thunder do have the big advantage now. They are in the driver's seat. 2 opportunities now to close this series out. 2 opportunities to get 1 win. BZ6 is in next. What's up, BZ? Welcome into you. Thank you very much for being here for the generous donation and sponsoring us. Gary, what's the question or comment from BZ?
Is it fair for refs who are friends with OKC players to be officiating? They're all smiles and giggles with them, but look at Spurs like if they killed their cat.
Yeah, I mean, look, It's hard because you look at the free throws and there's not an alarming or glaring discrepancy. Like it's 32 to 38 was the free throw shots tonight. So it's like, it's really not that big of a deal. But the way some of the calls that were made and the timing in which the calls were delivered or not made or whatever were really significant, I thought. And that one stretch where there was the goaltend, like I said, and then the technical foul assessed to Mitch Johnson, it was just bad. It was a bad look for the officials, bad look for the NBA, and they just have to know that these Oklahoma City games are under a more of a microscope than other teams in other games, because there is such a speculation that they get unfair treatment by the officials. So I would think that they would be doing things cleaner than not, in these games. And the fact that it's a pivotal swing game 5 and there's a series or a sequence like that looks so glaring and so egregious. I just don't know. I'll be interested to see or hear or look at the 2-minute report that comes out tomorrow. That, of course, is the Spur. The officials will mention any calls that might have been missed or whatever. We'll see. And we'll see. Again, it's so odd that, like, it's such a big thing, so impactful, that we have to wait and see which officiating crew gets the game. Like, that's what we're going to be like. That's the big thing we're going to be waiting for in this off day. Like, which crew will be assigned to determine if this series is going to be extended or not. Like, they need, like I said, they need to fix this. It's a bad look for the NBA. They need to fix it moving forward into the offseason, in my opinion. All right, Sayonara 72238 is in next. Welcome in, Sayonara. Hello, not goodbye. Following up, I really did get laid off last week. Sayonara, you got laid off last week. I do not like to hear that at all. I'm very sorry to hear that. We have people that were coming in here, guys, surviving layoffs. Now we're hearing of a layoff. Sayonara, no good. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry to hear that. Hopefully, you find something very quickly and you have some feelers out, or you already had a jump on something moving forward. That's too bad. You should not be sending us super chats if you got laid off. Just hang out in the regular chat, please. There's a lot of activity going on over there. I'm typically looking around in that area as well during the live, and then I read them after the live is over, typically in the next morning. My wife is usually watching, and I'll be reading the regular chat lives as well if I miss some. So please, if you've been laid off, please squirrel that cash away until you get something up, my friend. But thank you for being here, just tuning in and engaging over in the live chat area means the world to me. So thank you very much. All right, God is the great physician is in next. Says, I've never seen a player have it easier than Shea due to shooting 37% for the series and is up 3-2 because the team is so deep. It's not quite 37. It's probably like 38 now, I would guess. He's probably shooting around 38%. But yeah, a guy shoots 55% during the regular season, plummets 17 percentage points now for 5 games in this series, and they're still likely going to win the series. Because again, the easiest deal I've ever seen for an MVP. Maybe Magic had an easier deal. Maybe, Kareem and James Worthy and the great supporting cast and defense that they had. Maybe Magic as an MVP had it easier and better. Like, he's a floor general. Magic was like the facilitator. Like, well, how great of a facilitator do you have to be when you have a top 4 player all time in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on your team and a top 50 all time player in James Worthy? Like, maybe Magic had a better deal, but like, my own 2 eyes never laid sight on Magic Johnson when he was actually playing. So like, the easiest deal I've ever seen anybody have in my lifetime of watching the NBA that gets an MVP is definitely Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And the fact that he's gotten 2 really is a crime. It's a crime against basketball. So people will come in here and say, Skap, you're hating. Skap, quit hating on Shea. He had 32 points or whatever. He's up 3-2. He's going for another championship. Yes, I wouldn't be hating if he didn't steal 2 league MVPs in a row. He's not the MVP. He's not even close. Are you watching these games? Have you watched this series? I barely even notice if the guy's on or off the floor, other than I don't see some guy flopping and flailing around like a fish on the floor, which is actually nicer for the game flow, quite frankly. But other than his flopping and hitting the ground every single time, I barely even notice if he's on the floor or not. Now, when Victor Wembanyama is not on the floor or Nikola Jokic isn't on the floor, you freaking notice it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, not that important. The bench is the one that is leading them to this 3-2 lead. In all of the games that the Thunder have won in this series, the bench has been instrumental, not Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's just along for the ride, guys. All right, Enchanted 2K797 is in next. Gary, I'll turn this one over to you. Thank you very much, Enchanted 2K797. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for supporting us.
OKC has 10 starters. Spurs game plan needs to involve Wemby in the paint. Refs need to put the whistles away. Wemby plus SGA had most of their points. ATL.
At the line. At the line.
At the line.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I'm not making any excuses for the way, like, Wembanyama made 4 field goals tonight and had 20 points because he shot 12-12. But I think, quite frankly, Wembanyama was getting fouled, though, you know, and like maybe Shea was getting fouled. A lot of those were fouls on Shea, too. But yes, the fact that both those guys, Wembanyama's 4 of 15, Shea 7 of 19, like neither guy played well. Like neither guy. Both of the stars played poorly tonight. Fact. And yet the Thunder were up by 20 a couple times in this game. Because when Shea plays like ass, which he has for largely most of this series, his team still is either in the game or winning the games. When Wembanyama plays like ass, his team gets blown to pieces because Wemby has a much more challenging ask. He has a harder deal, whereas Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the easiest deal I've ever seen. That's why I keep harping on the fact that this guy shouldn't have sniffed 1 league MVP, let alone 2. All right, 26, Mr. WrestleMania is up next. Thank you very much, Mr. WrestleMania, for joining us again tonight. Welcome in on tonight's show. Gary, what's the question or comment from him?
As a Spurs fan, I need Wemby to play more like Wilt and less like Embiid. Play inside the paint and take an occasional 3. Make big men great again.
Look, I'm with you guys. He shot 0 of 5 from the 3-point line tonight, but like it is in some instances easier said than done. Like I think the same thing when I watch Jokic sometimes play this team. Like, why is he shooting 7, 9, 10 3-point shots? Well, like, because you're getting hammered to shit every time you go underneath, and you're only getting foul calls like 1/3 of the time. And it just weighs on you throughout the course of a game. And these guys, Jokic and Wemby, can make threes. So, like, when they are getting wide open looks, and you're getting obliterated underneath, blown up, foul after foul, not getting any calls, the frustration starts to boil over. And then you get a wide open 3 and you're like, well, why not? Damn it. Like, I can make this. And then it's a trap. You fall, you get lulled into taking them. And then you start setting up further and further away from the basket. And I think, look, it happens with Jokic a lot when he plays these guys. And it's happening with Wemby throughout the course of this series. It happened tonight. Like he just set up too deep. He just settled for too deep of shots a lot of the times. And then when he was going to the basket, he was not, his timing wasn't great on those. He was missing a lot of close around the basket. He was getting fouled a lot, and he was getting some free throws, but not as many as I think he probably should have been getting. So we'll see. I mean, I think he's got to be more tenacious, more assertive. And yes, he has to set up closer to the basket. Start in game 6. He has to attack the basket more, go in more. And I think he's probably going to get the benefit of the doubt more of the whistle in the next game at home with, yes, a pro Spurs officiating crew while they are at home and down 3-2. So, yes, I think Wemby will be getting more of those calls moving forward into game 6. So, again, it's a shame that you have to look at it like that and be like, well, next game's their turn. Like Oklahoma City was at home and they got the favor of the calls today, and they needed to win today because it was 2-2 and it was in their building and they could go get closed out then at San Antonio. So they get the calls today. Next game, the Spurs, well, they're on the road or they're at home. They're facing elimination. They need the calls more so. Well, they'll get the calls that game. So it is a shame that you can make that kind of commentary or statement about the NBA, but you can't. So maybe maybe our friend Adam Silver, sorry, I've got David Stern on my mind because, well, he was much better than Adam Silver's, damn it. And also, well, I'm very sleep deprived now that we are in the later stages of May and we've been doing these live shows late at night for like a whole month now. But anyway, yes, maybe Adam Silver's with those gigantic ears that are like the size of like a massive satellite dish or something. You would think that he could hear this immense amount of criticism on the officials and on what we're talking about right now, about how the tone of the games can essentially be felt early on, and which team's going to win because of who's getting the calls that they need to get that way to be able to win. Like maybe Adam Silver can put those massive ears to work this summer, hear the criticisms, and actually do something about it. But hell, I wouldn't hold my breath, guys, if I were you. All right, we've got George Costanza in next. The Human Fund CEO is coming to us now again tonight. Thank you, George. I appreciate it. Skap Gary chat. What's Kramer's fake doctor alter ego? Oh, let me think about this. Is it Dr. Van Nostrand? I believe. Is that George, the Human Fund? Is it Dr. Van Nostrand? Are you talking about when he disguises himself as a doctor to try to get that mole, get a slice of that mole? Let me see what Kramer. I just want to make sure here. Kramer's doctor.
Did he want to look at Elaine's chart? Was that the episode?
No, I think it's It is Dr. Martin Van Nostrand. So I nailed that one. See, you did not get that one past me. No, that was when he was trying. Well, he uses it frequently, actually. But he used the episode I'm thinking about was when George is trying to get the picture redone for Mr. Kruger because George is in the picture, remember, from the beach when he threw Kruger's and all of his kids' stuff in the ocean. So he dusts the picture out, and then it turns into this big thing. And there's like they stage this fake this fake like skin checkup with a dermatologist because George needs a picture of Kruger without his shirt on. So Kramer becomes Dr. Van Nostrand, but he does use it. I think he uses it in a couple other episodes as well. But nice trivia question, George. Yeah, I got you on that one tonight. You did not slide that one by. You stumped me the other night, but now I'm back on top tonight. All right, Skap Jr., Skap's grandson, is in now again. Go ahead, Gary, and read what my alleged illegitimate son has to offer for us in tonight's show. Go ahead.
Well, I guess this is his son because this is Skap Jr. It says, hair looks good tonight, Granddad. Love you.
Thank you. Thanks, Junior. I appreciate that. I think, the hair does look on point tonight. I appreciate that. So yes, Gary, I did actually read this correctly last night then. Skap Jr. is actually, so this kid who is now the avatar is just a sperm there, but this kid is inferring that he is actually the son now of my illegitimate son, which of course, guys,
okay.
I need Maury Povich to come and deliver me the paternity test himself before I'm going to acknowledge any of this. But Skap Jr., nonetheless, welcome into you. And thanks for being here tonight. I appreciate it. All right, we've got Jay. So from Skap Jr. to my namesake, Jay Savage, 8295 is in next. Who do you think had it easier, Bird, Magic, KD, or SGA? I think Magic had it easier than any superstar all time. Well, great question, Jay. And I know you sent it. You sent it 11:39. It's 12:16. So I did actually speak to this already, and I agree with you. I think probably Magic had the easiest deal. KD probably had a very easy deal with the Warriors, but he didn't win it. He did not win the MVP with the Warriors. So, like, in terms of a superstar who's winning league MVPs, I think the guy that has had it easiest that I've ever seen is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But the easiest all time, probably you're right. I would say probably Magic had it easier than any other superstar. And the fact that Magic, some of those years that Magic got it, like, it 100% should have been Jordan. 100%. I think Bird actually deserved all of his MVPs, though you could have made a case probably for Mike for one of them. But probably most of Magic's MVPs realistically could have been Michael Jordan's MVPs. I'll look that up one of these times. Maybe I'll look it up tonight if I have it. In fact, let me just look. I just want to see what years. I just want to see what Magic Johnson's MVP years were. 1987, 89, and 90 were Magic Johnson's MVP years. And I'm sorry, so that was 86, 87. Magic Johnson finished with 65 first place votes to Michael Jordan was number 2 that year. Michael, see, this is just ridiculous. Magic averaged 24 points, 6 rebounds, 12 assists. Michael Jordan averaged 37 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, which probably led the NBA in steals. And Jordan actually outpaced Magic in win shares as well, 16.9 to 15.9 on win shares. So that was Magic's. I think that was his first MVP. And then Magic won in 88, 89. Magic closer, 42.5 first place votes to 27.5. Magic with 22.5 points per game, 8 rebounds. I mean, that's a great season. 22.5, 8 rebounds, 13 assists. Jordan, though, with 33, 8, and 8. And again, easily outdid Magic in win shares. 20 win share to 16. 20 win shares for Michael Jordan, and he finishes runner-up to Magic Johnson while outscoring him by 10 points per game. And then finally, Magic's 1990 MVP. This one's probably going to look even worse. 89-90. Actually, Magic Johnson won this one, and Barkley was runner-up. But again, like Magic 22, 6, and 12. Barkley 25, 12, and 4. Jordan 34, 7, and 6. And again, led the league in win share. Like 19 win share for Jordan, 16 for Magic, 17 for. So, like, I mean, realistically, Michael Jordan should have had all of those MVPs, but whatever. And then Magic has Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and James Worthy on his team. So, Jay, I'm kind of with you. I think maybe Magic had the easiest arrangement, but Magic was out of the league by, I want to say 91. Look, he came back. He was out of the league by 91. He had that. Look, I was like 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old when Magic Johnson retired with HIV. And it's still to this day is one of the most impactful sports moments, I think, of my lifetime or ever. When Earvin Magic Johnson, who was only 31 years old at the time, retired. I think it was in 92, maybe sometime early 92. And he was 32 at the time. Coming off of, like I said, The 3 years prior to him retiring with, well, let's just go back to the 5 years prior to his HIV announcement. MVP 1, MVP 3, MVP 1, MVP 1, MVP 2. Like that was what Magic did in the 5 years prior at the age of 32, retiring with HIV. So like, yes, he came back for like 30 games in the mid 90s, but you know, I don't really remember ever myself seeing Magic Johnson actually play basketball live. So that's why when I say the easiest deal I've ever seen, Jay, it's got to be SGA because I didn't see Irvin, the Magic Man. All right, Isun Min is in next. Blouses in 7. Wemby better bring his maple syrup. Yeah, I fear that Isun Min is right. I think like I'm not flip-flopping again, though pre-series I did have Thunder in 7, but then when my Spurs won game 1, I flip-flopped to Spurs in 6. Obviously that's over now. So I do think realistically probably Thunder in 7, but I like Isun Min slides it in on blouses in 7. Gary, I talk about Seinfeld a lot, one of my favorite shows. One of my other favorite shows, The Chappelle Show. Were you a fan, Gary? Did you ever watch The Chappelle Show?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Clayton Bigsby, greatest comedy sketch of all time.
I mean, I don't know, Gary. He had so many good ones. In fact, the one that
none of them top Clayton Bigsby. There's a few others that were really good. The Wayne Brady one was really good as well. But a Clayton Bigsby, that was just absolute genius.
I think my favorite Chappelle sketches were the Charlie Murphy True Hollywood Stories, which is exactly what Isun Min is talking about right now when Prince plays Eddie and Charlie Murphy and their crew. When Prince and the Revolution take Charlie and Eddie and his crew back to Prince's mansion, and they play they play a game of basketball, and Prince and the Revolution emerge in like women's clothing. And one of the lines that one of Eddie's crew utters out in the skit is, "We can call this shirts against the blouses." So that is unfortunately Isun Min. I think since a bunch of the Oklahoma City Thunder players do in fact wear blouses to and from the games and on the sidelines, Isun Min is in fact saying that the Thunder blouses in 7. And unfortunately, I think Isun Min might unfortunately be right on that take.
Yeah.
We've got next in Colossus 10 is in next. Welcome in Colossus. Why do we know referees' names? Great question. And part of the reason why there's a lot of shit wrong with the officiating in the NBA today. Like the officials, the referees, whatever, in all sports should not be part of the story. They should not be in the story at all. So the fact that we know that we have these officials in some instances, like in the NFL or in Major League Baseball, like with the umpires, insinuating themselves into the game, or in the NBA's case, calling games specifically lopsided or one-sided for one team all the time. And when you see, like, I think it was when the Nuggets, the crew chief that had the Nuggets game 6, like the guy that reffed that game and his crew, basically the Nuggets lose those games by 20 points every time. Like the crew chief that had the game 6 against Minnesota in the elimination game. Basically, like the Nuggets lose by between 20 and 30 points in all of the playoff games that crew gets the game. So you basically knew like, well, the Nuggets are finished in 6 because they never win games where that guy is on the call. So the fact that there is a case like that and it's happening in this series too, you're right, Colossus. That is a major problem. Gary, we've got Stefan Stanky. I caught myself and I corrected myself. Stefan, welcome in, my friend. Thank you for being here. And sorry to have my little hiccup initially there, Stefan. I do appreciate you. Gary, what does Stefan have for us in terms of a question or comment?
Can you imagine Kobe and Jokic on the same team? How many rings realistically do you see them getting? Also, shout out to you, Skap. and Gary.
Well, Stefan, thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words, and I appreciate you. Shout out to you. And if we're talking prime, like if Kobe is just, let's say, instead of Shaq, it's maybe Jokic, and then Kobe, let's just say Kobe and Jokic don't hate each other's guts like Shaq and Kobe hated each other's guts. So let's just say, because Jokic is such a great teammate that really would defer, I think, to Kobe Bryant. So let's just say that they stayed together for longer than Shaq and Kobe stayed together. Sky's the limit. It could have been the best guard big man tandem in NBA history. They could have won more. I think they would have won more than Magic and Kareem, because Magic and Kareem, look, they won 5 together. And I think Kobe and Jokic, if they're together their whole length of their prime, I think they would have won more than 5, maybe 6, maybe 7. Who knows? But yeah, I think they could have been better and more prolific from a winning standpoint, Stefan, than was maybe even Shaq and Kobe, just because they only played 8 years together and they hated each other's guts, so they went in different directions. Look, if Shaq and Kobe didn't split up, if they just stayed the course and played together their whole careers, they probably win 6 or 7, quite frankly. But they just, neither one of them could get over themselves, right? And I do give Kobe some blame there too, even though I'm a big Kobe guy. Kobe probably should have shown more respect to Shaq and vice versa. Shaq was like an established, seasoned veteran, and Kobe was this elite, like league best up and comer. Like instead of, calling Kobe out and disrespecting him, probably if both, and same goes for Kobe, like show your elders the respect that they deserve. And Shaq was like a league MVP at the time. I think both of them deserve blame in the deterioration of that relationship. And had they both been able to get over themselves, I think they both would have more rings today, and they would be maybe remembered as the greatest 1-2 punch in NBA history. But they just, that's what happens when you get two absolute alphas in like their primes, and like neither one of them really wanted to share the light or like give the other one the credit that they both really deserved. So it's a shame that they only got 3, because that could have been a much, much better pairing in my estimation. All right, Booj got that beam is in next. What's up, my friend? Welcome into you. Spurs might win game 6, but will they win game 7? Well, I'm not going to flip-flop again. I can't flip-flop I flip-flopped once, so I can't flip-flop a second time, okay? So I just have to go down with the ship now at this point. But realistically speaking, probably not. The Spurs will not win game 7. They will win game 6, I think. I will be shocked if they lose. I'll be shocked if Wembanyama doesn't have a tremendous game and his gravity lifts all of the role players and they get calls and they're at home. I'll be shocked if they don't force a game 7. But will they win game 7? Probably not, unfortunately. All right, next in we've got Alex 7E9. Gary, I don't see a question or comment attached to Alex. Alex, if you're on still, you sent this. Oh, let's see here, Alex. 11:53, so about 40 minutes ago. If you are still on in the live chat, do not send us another super chat for it. If you're on in the live chat and you meant to include a question, go ahead and send it in now. Gary will keep an eye out for it for a couple minutes. And if not, Alex, if you just wanted to give us a very kind and generous donation with no question attached, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here and supporting us in that endeavor very much so. Next in is Cuddy F74. Spurs, I think, should that be coach or scary and need, wait, is that, Gary, help me out here. Need, pray, okay.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure either. I would think, okay, Spurs coach are scared and need prayer. Okay, Spurs coach are scared and need prayer. OKC built for this. I think that's what they intended to say.
Yeah, I think look, I respect Mitch Johnson quite a bit. I think he's a great coach. I believe, Gary, this is help me out, Gary. You're a Spurs fan here. Last year was Mitch Johnson's interim year, and this year is his first full-time year as the head man, right?
Yeah, Pop started last year and then
Right.
had the stroke, and Mitch
Okay. Right.
fell into place in the middle of the year. This is his first full entire year. Yes.
Right. Okay. So I think he's doing a great job. He's 39 years old. He's younger than I am. And I think he's doing a tremendous, he's got them 62 wins. He's got them 3-2 in the conference finals against a defending juggernaut champion. I think he's done a tremendous job. With that said, he is 39 years old, and this is just his first full year as the head coach. And I think tonight he did make some mistakes. And I can't understand why, like, what, Gary, why was Keldon Johnson single covered on Chet Holmgren half of the second half? Like, I just can't understand what was going on there.
I don't understand how they I thought the Spurs had a great opportunity with the two injuries of OKC. And I wasn't guaranteeing a win, but I was like 99.9% certain this game is going to go down to the wire. That if the Spurs lost, they'd go down like very close. I was afraid it was going to be like tied with 30 seconds and SGA was going to flop and there's going to be a foul call. That would send me over the edge just because I hate games being decided off of questionable or shady foul calls or whatever. I don't understand why they came out with such low energy from the jump. The only one that came out with any kind of energy really was Champagne in the first quarter. I don't understand. They looked like they were playing Washington in the middle of January to me. There was none of that that, you know, I don't know. There was just no juice. I don't know if they're tired. You guys are in your 20s. You're a bunch of 20-year-old kids. You're young pups. You got Jay and I have excuses. You don't have excuse in that department. It should be pedal to the metal. Even if I know it's tiring and all the traveling, but you guys are young. I don't know. I can't really answer many questions about anything tonight, to be honest, especially from the Spurs. It's just a pattern I've been talking about. They're just so inconsistent. And every time you think they're about to do something, they turn around and do the other, which makes me really believe they're going to win game 6. Because how bad they look now, people are like, oh, they're done for. Boom. They're going to turn it on game 6. They're going to look invincible and probably lay a dud game 7.
Yeah, I think they got to go bigger in game 6. Like, Luke Cornett played only 8 minutes tonight. Like, I don't understand. I don't like Luke Cornett just on the floor, but Luke Cornett with Victor Wembanyama, I think you got to try it. Especially when the Thunder go double bigs with Hartenstein and Chet. Sometimes they go away from it. The Thunder like to go small and just like to play one of those guys. They played heavy minutes, 31 minutes for Hartenstein, 30 minutes for Holmgren tonight. I think you got to look, you want to dictate. You always want to dictate. You want to dictate what kind of pace you're playing, what kind of game style you're playing. But sometimes you just got to match. And like, if they go double big, I feel like I want to see more Vic and Luke Cornett, because like there's like 4 or 5 possessions straight where Keldon Johnson was on Chet Holmgren, and it was like every time it was either a dunk or fouls. Every time. And like, I just looked it up. Keldon Johnson is officially listed at 6'6", but in the 2019 combine, when he measured in without shoes on, he was 6'4.75". So like, this dude's 6'5", basically. And Chet Holmgren's like 7'3". What do you think's gonna happen in this equation? So I just weird cross matches multiple times in a really pivotal moment in the game. Like it was in a time where like the Spurs had been down. They were making a run, and then they just kept going to Chet Holmgren for like 4 or 5 straight possessions on Keldon Johnson. And it was just foul, dunk, like every time. So I think Mitch Johnson, look, as great as he is, he's got to make some adjustments. And I know there's some speculation or talk that Greg Popovich is still involved in some capacity. Like he's in the box. He's been in the locker room here and there. He is obviously Mitch Johnson's mentor. And I know that he's been in communication with him. Maybe Pop can help with some kind of an adjustment strategy in between these next 2 days or the next 24 hours, because they got to do something. I'm very disappointed with the injuries that the Thunder had tonight. And like you said, that game was so relatively non-competitive for like a lot of the second half. I was surprised. Like I honestly thought, like I said, the Spurs would win tonight when I heard about those two injuries. But at the very least, like you said, a very close game, and maybe make Shea earn it in the clutch time. But like Shea didn't even really need to play in the fourth quarter. He came back and got a couple maybe one basket in the fourth quarter, but it was mainly Jared McCain in the fourth quarter. And it was like the game was just over all of a sudden. So pretty disappointing, lackluster effort. Did you want to add something there, Gary? Go ahead.
Yeah, this is what I've been getting at when I'm talking about how we're still building this roster. We've got to get a power forward, a nice, young, athletic power forward, 6'8", 6'9", 245, 250 pounds, banging in the glass with Wembanyama, and we will rid ourselves of this problem. This is why I felt like we weren't ready to go all the way this year, because we get beat on the glass and the rebounds. But once we get a power forward, I remember the 8th pick in the 2024, because we got Castle and then we had the 8th pick. We could have gotten Zach Edey. We could have gotten Khalil Ware. So I'm hoping that they know that they studied this years out and they're like, okay, there's some international power forward we're not even familiar with that's on their radar that they're going to draft at the 20th pick. I did want Marez Johnson from Michigan. That's originally who was supposed to go to Spurs, or who was projected. He's dropped down because now it looks like OKC's actually going to take him. So there are like 3 really good prospects on Michigan, 3 big guys, and it looks like they're all going to be gone before the Spurs get the 20th pick. If I was a Spurs, I would see if I could trade up and maybe get Marez Johnson Jr., who seems to be the perfect fit. If not, hopefully you've got somebody else. But my whole point, sorry to ramble, once we get that power forward, that is when the Spurs are going to return back to power.
So, yeah, I mean, the obvious play, Gary, would be De'Aaron Fox at 1, Stephon Castle at 2. You move Devin Vassell to the bench. And then you've got, or maybe you keep Vassell. So basically Champagnie or Vassell to the bench. And then you've got Vic and like another big, like another power player. Like that's the obvious move. And then, then you get, not only do you have more rebounding, you have better help for like these double big sets, but also you get more firepower than off the bench. If you had Champagnie or Vassell, then coming off the bench. So, and look, Harper's going to be a starter at some point here too. So like who knows what the rotation is going to look like moving forward. Maybe they really should consider trading away De'Aaron Fox and just get maybe get your big there, bring Harper off, and then you can put Vassell or somebody like that to the bench. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. They definitely do need something else underneath, because they're just getting worked right now on the glass. And like when they're going double big for the Thunder, like there's just no answer right now, the way they're working their rotations. All right, Booge Got That Beam is up next. 5-hour post game live if the Spurs beat OKC.
Sure.
Well, for the series, yes. I'll still try to keep
series.
it. I'll still try to keep my goal. Like I said, I talked about last night. My goal is always 90 minutes. Like when I come in, I'm like, do a 30-minute show wise, unpack some things, have a little discussion with Gary, then go to the comments for like an hour, and then get out in 90. If I go to two and a hook, no big deal. But once I start getting to 3 hours, that's kind of a long time. And Gary and I have done this for 4.5 hours a couple of times. this month. That is a extraordinarily long time. So my goal will always be 90 with like a hopeful ceiling of like 230. But if the Spurs win the series, if the Spurs beat the Thunder in 7, then sure, we'll do a Skap Live After Dark till dawn. We'll just be on all night. It'll be
Get your pajamas.
Live stream.
We'll wear pajamas.
Yeah, pajamas. I'll have some hot cocoa going. And yeah, we'll take little, Gary and I will talk movies, whatever. We'll be on Skap Live After Dark till dawn. I'll try to sleep most of the day leading into game 7 if I can, just to prepare myself for it. BZ6 is in next. MVP equals staying on the bench until you're up 15. I mean, it really does, doesn't it? Like it seems like it's happened multiple times. It happens all the time. It seems like they're like the Thunder are like up 2, down 4, something like that. Then by the time Shea gets back on the floor, all of a sudden they're up like 12, 13, 15. Like it does. It seems to happen multiple times in every freaking playoff series that this guy plays in, which is why, again, BZ, I'm not hating. I'm just saying he's not the MVP. He's a great player. He's got a great team built around him, built by a great general manager, and it's a great organization. Great. But the best, certainly not. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, certainly not the best player in the NBA, and certainly not the league MVP. It's not hating. I'm just saying what's factually true. And I'm sorry that some people have to view that, sadly and unfortunately, as hating. Fully Leaded 6299 is in next. What's up, Fully Leaded? Welcome into you. Gary, go ahead. I'll turn this one over to you and take a little sip here.
Nobody wants to watch 70 free throws in a game. Amen. SGA with 17 free throws is insane. And Wemby had 12. So that's 29 free throws between the two big stars.
Yeah, and that's not hyperbole either. There actually was 70 free throws attempted in this game. Like Fully Leaded, like that's not hyperbolic. 38 to 32 or whatever in terms of yes, 38 to 32 was the free throws in tonight's game by both teams. So you're right. You are right, Fully Leaded. Nobody does want to see that. That's why the NBA's got some soul searching, I think, to do in the offseason. And if Adam Silver had any interest in doing anything about it, I think he would have done it by now. So realistically, he doesn't care. And why is that? Well, because they just signed a 7-year, $77 billion TV or whatever it is. 11 years, $77 billion, maybe it is. 11 year, $76 billion broadcast agreement the NBA has signed. So I think this is in year 2 of that now. So they're making $7 billion, $7 billion annually for the next like 5 or 6 years. So what impetus does Adam Silver have to fix or change anything? Like, what does it really matter? They're getting their money. That's all that matters. Again, as Morgan Freeman once famously said in the movie Hard Rain starring Christian Slater, we just want the money. That's all Adam Silver's wants, and that's all his partners want, his ownership groups want. They just want the money, and they don't really care. Unfortunately for us, the fans, they don't really care about the product or how bad it is. And we have the potential to have great product, I think, in this day and age, with all of the great talent that we have in the NBA today, a great up-and-coming star like Victor Wembanyama. You just have to fix some of the peripheral things. One of those things on the periphery being this ridiculous officiating issue. So we'll see if the ball's in your court, Commish. We'll see what the decision is this offseason. All right, Boo's got that beam coming to us again. Up next, Fraud SGA will never crack my top 75. So this is a very spicy take. This is kind of like the people that have LeBron like not top 100 that I see out there. It's a little overly spicy, Boosh. I like your energy. I like this of the take, obviously, as I am a bit of a hot taker myself. But I think it's a little too far because the problem is, and let me just as a LeBron hater, let me just give you a little look into the insight of where I'm coming from. Look, if I go too far on LeBron, if I go too overboard and say, well, he's not top 25 or 30 or 50. Well, I'm kind of in a way delegitimizing my own takes, right? Like he's somewhere in the top 15 probably, like no matter what. I honestly don't think he's anywhere close to the top 5, and I don't think he has any case for the top 2. And I'll argue those points to the end for me. But you can't be you can be hot with your take, but you can't be overly scorching, Boosh. And SGA not top 75. Are you talking current top 75 players? Like he's definitely a current top 75 player. I think, look, I say he's an undeniable top 3 player. You can make a case maybe that he's not top 3. He's definitely top 5 though, I think. I think you can make a case for like maybe even Luka Doncic over Shea, quite frankly. I think definitely Nikola Jokic and definitely Victor Wembanyama. But look, is Giannis healthy? If he's healthy, I think he can have a case over SGA. I think you can make a case for Luka over him. Maybe you make a case for Cade Cunningham. I don't know. Like Jaylen Brown. Like there's guys that have a case to be over him. He's probably top 5, anywhere between 3 to 5, but like maybe as low as 5 or 6, but definitely top 75 current players, Boosh. But I like your energy. All right, Boosh is back to back from Boosh Got That Beam. Gary, what is this question or comment this time?
Did you see how Fraud SGA got exposed in the FIBA league? That's what happens when you don't have the NBA refs on your side.
I actually did not see that. I'm interested though. Let's see here. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander international stats. So it looks like he's played in 2 separate FIBA runs. Well, actually FIBA in one and Paris 2024 Olympics in the other. So 2023 and 2024, he played 6 games total. Let's see here. He averaged 20 points per game and shot roughly 50. So still 55%, but only 20 points per game, 20 points per game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. But now international stuff is kind of different. It's lower. There's only 40 minutes as opposed to 48. And look, it is, to your point, Boosh, it is a much more physical brand, and there's much less impactful officials taking over games or interjecting themselves into games, and more hand checking, more contact is obviously allowed. And look, Luka Doncic has said it. He's on the record. Luka Doncic, who I believe has led the NBA in scoring twice now, but let me make sure. Yes, 2 times Luka has led the league in scoring. It is age 24 and 26 seasons. He led the league in scoring. So 2 of the last 3 years, 33.9 and 33.5 in those 2 years. And I saw some other crazy factoid about Luka Doncic. Not only is Luka, he has the 3rd highest scoring average in NBA history right now, behind only Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain. He has the 2nd highest playoff scoring average in NBA history right now, behind only Michael Jordan. But he also now has 3 32, 7, and 7 seasons, meaning 32 points at least, 7 rebounds at least, and 7 assists at least. He did that in his age 23 season in 2023. He averaged 32.5 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, 8 assists. The very next season, he led the NBA in scoring at 33.9 points per game. To go along with that, 9.8 assists and 9.2 rebounds. Just a ridiculous year. 34, 10, and 9. And then he was hurt most of 2024, 2025. At least, I think, look, he played 50 total games, but he was hurt early on. So he wasn't eligible, and he didn't lead the league anyway. But then this year, he comes back and played 64 games, finishes MVP 4, and he probably going to, and yes, he was all NBA 1. 33.5 points per game, 8 assists, and 7.5 rebounds. Anyway, my point in all of this, 3 32 7-7 seasons. There's only been one other 32 7-7 year in NBA history ever. It was Michael Jordan who did it in the 80s. So anyway, this is my point of saying how good Luka Doncic is. Luka is on record multiple times of saying it is, quote, much harder to score overseas, much harder to score in like the Euro League than it is in the NBA. Like the Europeans that come over think the NBA is a bit of a joke and how easy it is, which is probably why you've also got Nikola Jokic, who's averaging just a crazy look. We know what Nikola Jokic has done in the last 6 years. It's all time. Like he has an all-time 6-year span going now where he is now tied the all-time record for most consecutive top 2 MVP finishes, tied Bill Russell and Larry Bird. Both of them did it 6 times. Jokic is in his 6th straight year right now doing it. But overall for his career, 22 points per game, and he started very, very slow out of the gate as the 41st overall pick in his own draft. But for his career, 22 points per game, 11 rebounds, and 7.5 assists. So 22, 11, and so that's more than likely by the time this dude retires, he's probably going to average 25, 11, and like 8 or 9, maybe 22, 11, and 9. Like those are purely absurd numbers for, again, another Euro who just seemingly has come over and just is dominating this watered down, easy NBA, easy to produce stats and score and get triple doubles and whatever. Easier than what these guys are seeing overseas. So sorry to get on a tangent, Booge. I got that beam, but I have not specifically seen the 6 FIBA games that SGA has played throughout his international career, but there is a marked difference between overseas international gameplay and the NBA. There's no doubt about that. All right, Stefan is back in. Stefan Stanky, welcome back into you. My friend Gary, what is the question or comment this time from our friend Stefan?
Do you think we will ever see games and officiating like it was in the 2000s again? This soap opera crap makes my eyes bleed, especially in the regular season.
So more than likely, Stefan, unfortunately, probably not. Probably not because, well, I saw an interview like 4 or 5 years ago. I did a video on Adam Silver's. I know I talk a lot of crap on Adam Silver's, but the thing is, he's the top guy. Like, this has all happened on his watch. So, I mean, I ultimately think it's his fault. So I did a video on him, and I included some clips of the interview I'm about to talk about in that video. The interview was about an hour-ish long, and Kevin Garnett conducted the interview with Adam Silver's. And he asks the question, like, do you think we're ever going to revert back to the 2000s and like that game style and try to get physicality back in? And I'm paraphrasing here because it's been like a year or two since I've seen the interview. But Adam Silver basically answers like, I didn't personally like the game style and the gameplay in the 2000s. It was too physical. And I think it took away from the celebration of the skill set of the players. And then like he specifically referenced Steph Curry and said, Steph Curry, quite frankly, probably wouldn't have even been able to play in the early 2000s, or at the very least, he certainly wouldn't have been anywhere near to what he is now, because the physicality of the game back then would have taken a toll on Steph Curry, and he's so little, and he wouldn't have been able to get to his spots and get as open as he has been in this era if it was like it was back in the late 90s and early 2000s. He even went so far as to say that that style of play was kind of gross to him and it was too physical. So I don't think while Adam Silver is on the watch, while it is, he is running the NBA basically, no, I don't think there's any hope that we're going to return to that kind of play style. I think you need to get a new guy in that identifies it as a problem, because it is a problem. So I think you need new leadership, new guys at the top across the board, probably new player union representation as well. And we just have to, overhaul it and get better ideas and just fresh perspective on how to fix what is very clearly a broken product, in my estimation, and in a lot of guys that watched the NBA outside of this specific era. Look, if you grew up, if you're 25, 20, 19, 16, 13 years old, like probably you don't identify this as a problem. You just think this is, high scoring, skillful basketball at its best. But if you grew up, like me in the 90s, I was born in the 80s and grew up in the 90s, quite frankly, you're going to think that there's a lot of things at issue in today's NBA, and the answers aren't easy and the fixes won't be overnight. Like it didn't take, it wasn't an overnight issue that broke this product, and it certainly won't be an overnight issue or a decision that fixes it. I don't want to get too far into the woods on this one, but hand checking was removed. A lot of people view the removal of hand checking as like the beginning of the end. I think that change was implemented in 2004. And it was in response to 2003. Maybe it was 2005 that it was changed, and it was in response to 2004. It was one of those years, 2003 or 2004, where league-wide scoring was like 93 points per game. Like it bottomed out completely. And the NBA league offices were like, yo, this is too physical. There's too much of a emphasis on defense. So they removed hand checking, made a couple rules to try to enhance free movement and stuff, unimpeded movement, get more offense into the game. And the very next season, there was an impactful difference. There was. It went from 93 points per game to 97 from one year to the next. 4 points year over year is a massive difference. But the guys that were in the league at that time, the star players like Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, like those guys were already built and cut from the cloth of the era that they grew up in the late 90s and early 2000s. So those guys, even if you removed hand checking and tried to free things up a little bit, those guys were still going to defend at high levels, because you could take the defense out of the rules, but you can't remove the defense from the players, the individual players that were going to still defend and compete on that side of the ball at a high level. So even though scoring jumped from 93 to 97 overnight, it never moved really much from there. Like it remained at 96, 97, 98 for the next 10 years. So like those guys still carried the torch and held on to the rope. But then the guys that came in after them, when those players aged out and retired, the guys that came after stopped playing defense, and you really utilize those rules and free movement and stuff. And systematically then over the next 5 to 7 years after that first 10-year span, then scoring started proliferating, started exploding, started getting higher and higher and higher, until we got to the point over the last 6 years of the 2020s where it's just been like 114, 115. It's like the 1960s again. So like we went all the way back in 2003 or 4, whichever one year it was that I can't specifically pinpoint, 93 points per game then to now 115 this year. 22-point difference. So but it took from 2003 to 2026. So, or let's say 2020. So that's 15, 17 years that it took to break it fully. So it's going to take 10 years probably to fix it completely. So it's not an easy answer, Stefan, but it can be done. And damn it, if you elect Skap Attack as your next commissioner for the NBA, I am the one that can get it done for us all. I'm the one that can fix this product. All right, Blake1267 is in next with a very generous super chat with no question or comment attached. But Blake is in next with a comment immediately following. So back to back. Thank you very much, Blake, for your generosity and kindness with your two donations here, Gary. What is the question or comment, Gary, from Blake?
Man, Thunder had Wemby playing like the mob approached him the night before the game.
So I do not think Victor Wembanyama is on the take. I don't think that a shady mob loan shark or mob dealer or whatever had Wemby, shaving points tonight or anything like that. I don't believe it. The guy's too competitive. He's too rich already. He has too much of an immense contract, several immense contracts brewing down the road. He's probably going to sign a couple $300 million contracts in his lifetime. He's probably going to make $700-800 million just playing basketball alone, not factoring in any kind of endorsement dollar. So no, I do not believe that Vic was on the take or shaving points or throwing game or anything like that. But to Blake's point, it certainly did look suspicious. Like he played so poorly tonight. Like I read the lines earlier in the show of what his lines were in the two bad games he played this series. It was like 21 on 8 of 15, 21 points on 8 of 15, and then 26 points on like 8 of 16 or something or 11 of 22. He even in his mediocre games, he played pretty damn good games. Tonight, 20 points on just 4 of 15 shooting for Victor Wembanyama, 4 of 15, and only 6 rebounds for your 7'7" center. And now, by the way, that is 3 games in a row where he went 4 rebounds, 8 rebounds, and 6 rebounds. So that's a big problem. But I agree, Blake, it looked bad tonight for Vic, but he is not on the take. He'll be back. He'll be much better, and they'll answer the bell in Game 6. There will be a Game 7 in this series. Take it to the bank. All right, we've got our player 77 in next. In fact, Gary, while you read this one from our player, I'm going to check and see what the spread is on the next game, Game 6 on Thursday. Go ahead, though, with our player 77's most recent comment or question.
Spurs in 7 or OKC in 7, Skap. I don't think this French kid goes out like this. He sucked tonight. How much do you wish Denver had OKC's bench?
Well, if Denver had, first of all, I hope you're right. Spurs in 7. I hope. I think it's going 7, as I just said.
He was asking you. He said Spurs in 7 or OKC in 7, Skap.
Look, I can't flip-flop again, our player. So I'm going down with my pick. As much as I believe and in my gut and in my mind know that the Thunder are going to win this thing in 7, which was my initial pick. I flip-flopped once after Game 1, and I'll ride the ship down to the watery abysses, and I will say Spurs in 7. I will say they shock the world somehow, win Game 6, extend to Game 7, and then Victor Wembanyama in Game 7 on the road has like 50, some like masterpiece all-time game, and the Spurs pull it out somehow.
I think I misinterpreted. He wasn't asking. He was saying whether it's Spurs in 7 or OKC in 7, he doesn't think the French kid goes out like this because he sucked tonight. Sorry, I misinterpreted that at first and rephrased it.
No problem. But I agree, our player. I do believe that you're right. I think Wemby has a great game in Game 6. They win it. And then he has a really good game in Game 7. And whether they win or lose it, we'll see. And in terms of if Denver had OKC's bench, are you asking me if Denver, what would happen if Denver had, Jared McCain, the other Jalen Williams, Alex Caruso, Kenrick Williams, Isaiah Joe, AJ Mitchell, Aaron Wiggins, Kaysen Wallace. What happens if Nikola Jokic had that bench? Well, Nikola Jokic would be going on his 4th ring right now. He'd be 4-peating right now. He would have won. Well, he definitely would have won the one that he did win in 2023. He would have then won the next year in 24. He would have won last. Yeah, he'd be going on his 4th consecutive NBA championship if Nikola Jokic had those guys I just rattled off, our player. And that's not a hot take at all. That is absolute certainty in my estimation. Rob Sports Cards is up next. More unclutch in the postseason, Harden or CP3. Not even a close comparison, Rob. James Harden is arguably the choke GOAT. It's between Little Game James and King James for choke GOAT status. So James Harden is top 2 all time in biggest playoff pant pooper. And CP3, while he has never won an NBA championship in what is otherwise a very distinguished and highly decorated career, I do believe that Chris Paul is not a choker. Even though he does not have a ring, he is not a choker. And he is not, I would say, unclutch. Whereas James Harden is practically the damn definition of unclutch. You turn to a picture of unclutch, or you turn to the page for unclutch in the Webster's dictionary, and there is a picture of Little Game James in it. So definitely the answer to this question, Rob, one of the easier ones I'll answer. Definitely, without doubt, Little Game James Harden. Welcome in to a favorite of the show. We go back a ways with this guy. He's been one of the OGs on this show. It's always a pleasure to see his handle and to see what he does with the avatar. And it's Skap's Extra Strong Cologne. Always cracks me up with that handle and the picture, which this time is me saying, I'm straight ass, Gary? Is that what's on my forehead?
It is, but you know what I like even more than that? Look at the eyes, the expression. You look like you are the one being approached by the mob on this photo.
And I have a very dense beard photoshopped onto my face as well. I have to be honest. I have a very patchy facial hair grow out. If I don't, I've got to grow it. I've grown a beard out 2 times in my life. I absolutely loved it the 2 times I grew it out. I had immediate shaver's remorse the moment I trimmed it off. And I honestly, the first time I wept a little bit. Like I had little teardrops coming down my face the first time I grew the beard out and shaved it off. The problem is it's so hard to grow it out because my facial hair is so patchy for the first, basically I've got to not touch it for 2 months. For the first 3 weeks, it looks pretty good. 2 to 3 weeks, it looks okay. From 3 weeks till about 6 or 7 weeks, I look like a bum. So it's very hard for me. It's very hard for me to go through weeks 3 through 7, like a whole month, where I look just terrible. Then when I get to the 8-week mark, it looks pretty good. Not quite as thick as this Photoshop picture beard looks, but pretty damn good. I don't know if it's in the cards for me to ever grow it out again because, again, I'm on, so to speak, air so frequently that I don't know if I could just look so unkempt and disgusting for like an entire month. But anyway, after that big wind up, Gary, what does Skap's Extra Strong Cologne have in terms of a question or comment?
I just want to know what is wrong with you on this photo. You look petrified here. What would
Gary,
Skap's
When you're on video or whatever, as long as I mean,
oh no, I that was a joke. He picked that photo, he screenshot you
right,
and put the beard on that
right,
photo, and you look in the moment
right.
with the beard, you look like you're being approached by the mob here. Maybe this is Clutch saying, listen, you're gonna say LeBron's the GOAT, or we're going to come visit Luna.
No,
Uh-oh.
never.
If they did that the next day, you'd be like, guys, I've been doing some thinking. LeBron's the GOAT after all.
Not my best friend Luna. No one. They've got to come through me first to get to my little pal Luna.
You'd be like, okay, okay, LeBron's the GOAT. All right. So this is a very interesting question. What would Skap's all-time most overrated team be?
Good question, Skap's Extra Strong Cologne. Gary, what are we're just going to do a starting five? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. I mean, LeBron's got to be on there.
For sure. For sure.
I don't know. Maybe James Harden.
I think I got to go with SGA in my starting. SGA's in my guard spot probably at this point. I think, unfortunately, nobody wants to hear that. But 2 league MVPs for this guy already. I just can't. I can't even with it. LeBron, absolutely, 100%. It's a very interesting question. I mean, I feel like it's hard to answer these questions like immediately on the spot. Like sometimes I need a little bit more time to unpack. Like I'm trying to go through my mind of all. I mean, maybe
someone just said T-Mac at guard, but I'm going to shoot that down. I watched some highlights of T-Mac last night. I'm putting him at number 3 behind Jordan and Kobe at that guard spot. That dude was electric.
He's also hurt. He was hurt, really. Like,
yeah, he's always hurt.
So I mean, like, I would say, look, we just talked about Chris Paul, okay, and I do not think he's a choker, and I think that's an unfair designation. But like, ultimately, I think Chris Paul is probably like the 9th or 10th best point guard, maybe in NBA history. Okay. Like, I just simply like, I don't think of him as like an all-time great point that like many people have him as like Stephen A. Smith calls this guy the point god. Like, I just don't think of him as like an all-time. Yeah. But I could also offer, and Steve Nash is one of my favorite players. Like, I really liked Steve Nash when he played. But Steve Nash, damn it, should not have 2 league MVPs either. So if we're talking just like people that have crazy, like Steve Nash is in really the hierarchy of like, Gary, do you see the people that have won back-to-back league MVPs? They're like 12 of the guys that have done it are like the top 15 players ever. And then Steve Nash and SGA are in the mix too. So I think maybe 2 Canadians in my guard spot, Steve Nash and SGA in as my most overrated backcourt. And then, I don't know, maybe definitely LeBron for sure. You know, I might say Shaq is my most overrated 5. And look, I know I dislike LeBron, and I don't really dislike Nash at all. And I don't dislike Shaq. And I think Shaq is a top 13 player, top 12, 13, 14 player. But the fact that a lot of people have Shaq like Mount Rushmore, like, or top 5, like, I just don't see it. Like, I think, quite frankly, Akeem is much better than Shaq, in my opinion. And I think the vast majority, Gary, the consensus is Shaq over Akeem. So I don't know. I think Shaq might be verging on a little bit overrated at this point. So I would probably have, Nash, SGA, LeBron, and Shaq. So I would need another forward in the mix here. And who? All right, let me go to I want to see something here. I don't know, Gary. It's going to be hard for me to pick another guy that I think is like overrated.
You want to put stick a pin in it for now, and we'll get to some more questions, and we'll think about this some more throughout.
Yeah,
the
I mean,
questions.
it could be, Gary. I hate to do it. I hate to go with another guy that I respect and really like, but it could be Pau Gasol, who is like, now I see people saying, Gary, I see shit on X. I need to get off X. I see people saying Pau Gasol was the best power forward in the NBA when Kobe was winning championships. Are you kidding me? You had Tim Duncan and Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, and Dirk Nowitzki in the NBA, and people were saying Pau Gasol was the best power. Like, as much as I love Pau Gasol and respect him, and Kobe does not have. Kobe has 3 rings, not 5, if not for Pau Gasol. But I think he's reached kind of overrated status as well now at this point. Like, maybe that might be my 5. Skap's Extra Strong Cologne, but good question. All right, we've got Vivid Sid 94 is up next. Welcome back in, my friend. A regular, as always, is here for us every night. I appreciate you, Sid. Gary, what is his question or comment this time?
Hi, Skap. A, Luka is a big whiner. If not grifter, then SGA. B, the problem with SGA not top 75 all time is you need to therefore prop up loser Lillard.
So, I mean, all right. So first of all, not saying top 75 current players. So I could get on board with that more. Look, if SGA didn't have any MVPs or championships at this point, he wouldn't be top 75. So it's not that outrageous of a take. And because I don't think he should have either of his MVPs. Now, the titles are valid, though, unfortunately. So ultimately, look, if you even strip him of the league MVPs, let's say he just has 2 top 3 MVP finishes, but like, look, he has 4 straight 30-point per game average seasons. So 4 consecutive years where he's averaged 30. I mean, that's elite status right there in and of itself. And 2 NBA championships and 2 finals MVPs, more than likely, is what's coming later this summer. Unfortunately, I hope not, but probably. So he's still probably top 75 already. Like, if you 2 finals MVPs and 4 30-point game average seasons, probably top 75 already, but maybe not top 50 yet, or somewhere 40 in the 40s, maybe at best. But when you sprinkle in the 2 MVPs, which again, I don't think he should have. I mean, it's not an outrageous take, Vivid Sid, but nonetheless, you're going to at some point have to accept that he's moving up all-time rankings when you just look at the totality of what the resume looks like. Even if the eye test is screaming no, and he's overrated as hell, which I think he is, the resume alone is indicative of someone that's moving up all-time levels already. All right, Voss 9933 is up next. Welcome into the sponsor area, Voss. Appreciate you being here. Gary, what's the question or comment from Voss?
Wemby with the passionate huddle speech when down 15. Meanwhile, the MVP is giggling on the bench with J-Dub, shaking my head.
Look, maybe I am misremembering, and you're right, Voss, but I thought that impassioned speech came when they were down 20. I thought they took that time out, and then they were all huddled around him in a circle, and he was like you could just see him like demonstratively firing like back and forth and like really, really talking them up. Down 20, and then within a few moments, like I blinked and it was 8 again. So that is leadership for sure. And you're right, not tonight, I don't think you're talking about, but last game when the Thunder were down 15 and SGA was giggling like a little schoolgirl with Jalen Williams. Yeah, it's just the difference between an alpha and a beta. That's what you're seeing here play out. SGA is a beta, and Wembanyama is the very definition, the portrait of an alpha. All right, Isun Mean is up next. And again, I should say Thank you, Isun Min, for all the work you do in the sponsor area here and all the great comments and things that you add for us here on Skap Live After Dark. I appreciate you. Gary, what's the question or comment from Isun Min?
If people make a basket, even in a waste basket, they say, Kobe, for what act will people yell, SGA? Media can't overcome memes. Legacy lasts through laughs. Comedy equals truth.
Isu Min, I think maybe like let's say you're walking down like the street on a cold winter day and it's icy out and you slip and you fumble and you flop around and you hit the ground and roll down the street. Maybe in that kind of a scenario, you would then say, Shay, as you're like tumbling down the sidewalk. But that would probably be the only way, that you call out Shay. Or, if you do have like a particularly good flop in a game, and you like throw yourself into somebody and get 2 free throws, maybe you can yell Shay in that kind of a setting, maybe Isun Min. But great question. And yeah, I think you're like the internet has Shay pegged and figured out at this point. So it's going to be hard for him to overcome. And hopefully these memes and GIFs and stuff will shame Commissioner Adam Silvers and co. into doing something about it over the summer. But like I said, I wouldn't hold my breath. Sully, what's up, brother? It looks like we've got a couple regs coming up, down some OGs coming up here. So Sully's Tech Hub, welcome in, my friend. Thank you so much for always being here for me from the beginning, basically. Gary, what is the question or comment this time from Sully?
In a twist of events, I somehow became the head coach of the town I'm living in, and check. We have our first this weekend against a team from Slovakia.
Wow, that's interesting, Sully. That is a twist of events. Please do keep us apprised here on Skap Attack in what's going on in your games, in your coaching career now at this point. Feel free, if we're not on air or whatever, feel free to email me. You obviously have my email address. If we haven't exchanged numbers yet, go ahead and shoot me an email to get back in the top of my inbox, and I'll drop you my cell, and you can keep me apprised of what's going on. That's definitely an interesting twist of events or turn of events. So I am very intrigued to hear updates on that moving forward, and good luck, by the way. All right, we've got RXCDDCS. What's up, RX? Welcome in. Thanks for being here in the sponsor area. I appreciate it. RX wants us to know that the refs are the MVP of the OKC bench, Skap. Yeah, I mean, I did my thumbnail and my title here indicative on this for this live stream, indicative of what I think of SGA, or really what I think of the Thunder, that their bench and the officials have really been carrying SGA this way, this far. And RX, I can't push back. I mean, whether it's which came first, the chicken or the egg? Is it the bench or the officials, which is truly the more valuable entity? The answer, as always, like I like to say, RX, is yes, both. They are both extraordinarily important and valuable. Skap Jr. is back. Oh, so wait. Okay, Gary, we have 2 different ones. That's what's happening here. We've got a Skap Jr. with
this is your son
with the Nikola Jokic avatar.
Right. This is your son.
And then separately, we have Skap Jr. with the sperm avatar. So I thought Skap Jr. switched and became Skap Jr., but there's actually 2 different. That's how I know I've made it.
You've got a son and a grandson. It's not rocket science. You've got a big family, and don't try to wiggle your way out of this. You got a large Christmas list coming up this year.
I'm going to need Maury freaking Povich to come in here and confirm.
Are you denying that this is your son?
100%.
He's got your eyes. You're a liar. You're a deadbeat dad. All he's reaching out is for love, and you reject him.
That's right. That's right, Gary. This is an imposter This is an imposter bastard child, and I will not claim him until Maury Povich himself comes into this live stream with the results of the blood work on the paternity test and tells me that I am indeed the father. But that's not going to happen. It's going to be, you are not the father, Skap. And then the music will play, the confetti will drop, and I will be doing like backflips and dancing around like one of the most awesome scenes in TV history. Guys, if you have not seen it, don't know what I'm talking about, once we sign off, please do watch the end of the show here, of course. But once we sign off, go YouTube Maury Povich, You Are Not the Father compilation. And I promise you this, you will not be sorry. But Gary, what does my fake imposter bastard child have for us this time?
Sad night for us, Dad. Unfortunately, evil won.
Yes, Skap Jr., it did, but there's always tomorrow. As you guys all know, my least favorite saying in sports is there's always next year. But as long as there's life and breath in a team for this year, there's always tomorrow. So we can all, but in this case, tomorrow is Thursday. So we can all hope that things turn out much better for the Spurs and for us on Thursday night in the cozy confines of San Antonio. All right. Vivid is back in. Vivid Sid 94. Gary, go ahead with this next question, or I should say comment. Actually, I'll just go with it. Vivid Sid is claiming that I became less anti-Chris Paul because of him. It's possible. You and moderator Gary might have played a role in having me ease off of Chris Paul. He certainly, I don't think, is a choker. But I do think he may still be. And I dropped him off my all overrated NBA starting five as well from the point and went with Steve Nash. So I guess, yes, thank you. Or maybe Chris Paul should be thanking you or saying you're welcome or whatever. Vivid said, maybe you and Gary did kind of break me down a little bit and get me to bend a bit on my Chris Paul take. All right, next
I wouldn't push back. Like if you said, you know what, I think he's a little overrated, I wouldn't push back. My whole thing when I pushed back is I just felt you were overly harsh on him at times, because a lot of times in the playoffs, unfortunately, he got injured. So that I just felt bad for him because he kept getting injured. But I wouldn't argue somebody says he's a little overrated.
All right, fair. Next in, back-to-backs, actually, very generous donations, as always. Stefan Piscano, who is a good friend of me in the show. So shout out to you, sir. Thank you very much. Always here, lurking around the comments area on the videos and mixing it up in the live chat area. And most typically always bestowing very generous donations in the sponsor area as well. So Stefan Piscano, shout out to you, and shout out to Vacation Wealth Partners as well. Gary, what's the first of back-to-back from Stefan?
We all know if LaSissy came after Luna, Skap would turn into John Wick real quick.
Very true. That's in response to Gary saying that someone's coming after, that Clutch is coming after my best friend in the entire world, who's sitting and chewing on her little chicken chew right now. Yes, she's the best. And watching over. She knows we're talking about her, guys. She's looking up, saying, what's going on up there? Don't worry, Luna. No one's coming for you. You're right. You're right, Stefan, though. That wouldn't fly. Not on my watch. I'm a very protective father here when it comes, not to my fake bastard child that is populating the comment section on these live streams, but to my best friend in the whole world, little Luna. Very protective there of her. All right. And the next question or comment from Stefan. Thank you very much again for your very generous donations for us tonight, sir. Gary, what's the second of two here?
Also, I've solved the problem for pro sports. We have a 4-year election cycle for commish, max 8-year term. Fans vote, debates, candidates have to actually defend their choices. I love it. I like it, except I don't think there necessarily has to be a max 8-year term. If you get a good commissioner in place, let them stay on for as long as they want to.
But they have to keep winning elections, though, is what you're saying, right, Gary? Like they have to keep being reelected.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
If they keep getting reelected. Exactly.
So no term limit, but no lifetime appointments. So like, and this is no dictatorship. Like you have to run and campaign and try to win elections and keep a good product. Stefan, I think you're onto something here, my friend. I think maybe term limits in sports leadership is a good way to go. I do think there's more turnover in the players union association or whatever, the players union and the players association in various different sports. Whereas, yeah, the commish is just like a lifetime appointment. It's like we need it to be more like the president of the United States, not like the Pope or a Supreme Court justice or whatever that just is in and then they're in forever. Like I'm in my freaking 40s and I have only known 2 guys in my whole life to be commissioner of the NBA. And in fact, it's not like I just can't remember someone from when I was younger. The year I was born, basically, Stern took over, and then it was Stern until it's Silver's, and now it's him. So it's like literally my whole life, there's only been 2 dudes. Like that's unacceptable. And it does. It makes you fat and lazy when you just keep getting the cash sprinkled upon you to run a bad product. So I feel like maybe, yes, we need to do probably less lifetime appointments and more election-based things. And you got to campaign and you've got to run and keep up a good product. That is, to me, it should be the very basis of what this, guys, we do live in the United States of America. It is, a democracy, right? So why can't our sports be more democratic, damn it? Stefan, I'm with you. And then under this new implementation or proposed implementation here, that means we can get different kinds of people running for this this spot. And that means maybe Skap Attack could throw his hat into the ring and start campaigning immediately to become the next commissioner of these great NBA. And I will make the NBA great again, guys. That is my solemn vow and promise to you. I will bring back hand checking. I will bring back defense. I will make defense cool again. I will make this product and this sport competitive on both ends of the floor. I'm Jay Skapanak, and I approve this message, guys. Skap Attack for league NBA commissioner, let's say 2030. Let's say we implement this change by 2030 and get it greenlit. Stefan, let's get to some online petitions going, shall we? Stefan, can I count on you to do some grassroots campaigns to get this change made? Guys, call, please, your senators, your congressmen, whatever. Let's get this going for 2030. That gives us a strong, 4-year cycle, and then Skap Attack can take over the NBA. Go ahead, Gary.
And as assistant, as vice commissioner, the first thing I'm going to implement is the season's going to run from January through August so that we're not stuck in July and August, bored out of our minds. I don't understand.
I also like that, Gary, because I'm a big NFL guy, of course, and the NFL doesn't start till like early September, kind of second week of September, and the NBA ends like mid-June. So, and like we still have a little intrigue, like the draft is then in late June, the moratorium for free agency stuff ends in early July, but then we've got basically like most of July and all of August with just regular season baseball, which is ass. So yes, Gary, as deputy NBA commissioner under the Skap Attack regime, we can implement that on your behalf for sure. Yes, I can turn that over. That you will be charged with that portion of running that element, getting that changed out. And then I like that because you've laid this out already, and I do like it. You get more impactful sports going on at non-overlapped periods, right? Because like the NBA starts when the NFL is like in its swing. Like, why not start a little later? I'm totally with you on that, Deputy Commish. All right, next, Blake comes back in again. Blake, what is up this time, Gary? Let me hear the question or comment. And thank you so much, Blake, for your continued support here in the sponsor area. I appreciate it.
Stats/awards without context are misleading. Future Kobe debates will bring up SGA's back-to-back MVPs with zero historical context.
Yeah, and the fact that Kobe got absolutely robbed out of multiple NBA MVP awards, and Shea got 2 that he shouldn't have at all. So like Kobe loses some, and Shea just gets some that like he shouldn't have, obviously. So you're right. Like context is, and it forever will always be, a very significant and important part of, sports history and sports debates. I actually had a very good conversation. I'm hoping it came out okay and the edit goes okay and smoothly, because it's a long conversation. I went to New York last week, as many of you know, to debate a Jordan LeBron centric topic for House of Highlights. And one of the guys, there was one guy that was in the Kobe debate that was also in the Jordan debate. And we kind of connected after the show, and we exchanged numbers. He's a young buck. He's like 27, I think. He actually did a similar thing for Barstool, did a similar thing that House of Highlights did, where they had one guy debating several people, and the one guy was Skip Bayless. And this person that was on my Kobe and my Jordan LeBron thing that was on both was on the Skip Bayless thing for Barstool. And he did a really good job against Skip Bayless, actually. So he and I connected today and did we had like a 2-hour, not even a debate. It was like more so a conversation where I wanted to actually sit down with a guy who's grown up in the LeBron era and thinks that LeBron is the GOAT. And I wanted him to lay out why he thought that, or why that's his take, essentially. Try not to convince me, but just to let me know why. And then I went back. In some moments, it kind of becomes a debate and we go at each other in a couple moments. But by and large, it's a very cordial conversation for 2 hours. And we're just laying out why do I have Kobe above LeBron? Why do I have LeBron in the lower tiers and not in my top 5? Why does he think LeBron is the GOAT and above Jordan? It's an interesting conversation. So make sure you guys look out for that. It's probably gonna be coming out in the next couple days. But I think what I try to do in that conversation, and in all conversations really, is just to provide context. Because you're right, Blake. All things require some level of context. And that's why some guys, I think, overachieved with minimal rings, and some guys underachieved with more rings. Like Akeem Olajuwon's 2 rings mean a lot more to me than LeBron James's 2 rings when you put the context behind it. The opposition that Akeem faced, the supporting cast that Akeem had versus what LeBron had, his opposition, his supporting cast. So the same will be true now with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's MVPs and Kobe Bryant's MVPs. Because the lack of MVPs for Kobe Bryant is one of the biggest, most criminal elements of all of NBA history, in my opinion. A guy that finished 11 times in the top 5 in league end year MVP vote. 11 times. The 3rd most ever, behind only Kareem, I believe, with 15, LeBron with 13, Kobe with 11. Tied with Russell, who had 11. Then Jordan and Wilt had 10. That's it. That's all the guys that have 10 or double, so 10 top 5 finishes. And all of those guys have won at least 4 league MVPs. And Kobe won only 1. It's just ridiculous to me. And now we've got, by the way, Nikola Jokic has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 top 5 finishes. So I think it's pretty obvious that Nikola Jokic is going to join the list of guys that I just rattled off with double-digit top 5 finishes, and he's going to be screwed too, because every guy that's finished 10 plus has gotten at least 4, except for Kobe, who has 1, and now Jokic is probably going to end with 3. So we know historical precedents are telling us that Kobe should have had 4 at least, and Jokic should have 4 at least. But those two guys are just going to be historically snubbed, unfortunately. All right, the Sandman 366 is in next. Very cool handle, Sandman. Welcome into you. Gary, what does the Sandman have for Commissioner Skap and coming up in 2030? Go ahead.
This is all very official business here. This needs to be documented.
Okay.
Commissioner Skap and or Lieutenant Deputy Vice Commissioner, Moderator Gary, drug test Leduki for PEDs as your first order of business. It is on the docket. It is on the docket.
Don't worry, Sandman. Not only will I dig into it, even if he's clean at this point, I will dig into the files. I will release the LeBron PED files. Okay? There will not be, this is not going to be like an Epstein situation or anything like that. It's not like the UFO files or anything where these UFO files have been under lock and key for like 70 years in various branches of the government. No, there will be full and total transparency under the regime of Commissioner Skap Attack. I will release the LeBron files as my first bit of business. We will stop covering up and protecting LeBron James if there is legitimate, bona fide, and verifiable evidence that LeBron James was using performance enhancers at any stage of his NBA career. And if Commissioner Skap gets his hands on these files, I will release the full and total unredacted files for all of the public to see. You have my word, Sandman 366. And thank you for your vote in advance. All right, Skap's Extra Strong Cologne with a different avatar. Now, Gary, can you see what's in my beard this time? I can't see it.
Skap Larden.
Wow. Wow. He put the James Harden beard on me and is calling me Skap Larden. Listen, Extra Strong Cologne, watch it, because
you look like you're a witness protection program.
Look, I'm typically floating between 7 and 10% body fat, by and large, for most of my entire life, quite frankly. I was probably less than that when I was in grade school, high school. And then like from post-college till now, I'm around 7 to 10%. So I may be many things, Extra Strong Cologne, but I'm certainly not I'm not little game James Larden at the buffet lines. I can assure you that. But Gary, go ahead with Skap's Extra Strong Cologne's most recent question or comment.
Are you in the witness protection program in this photo? Who do you predict will be the 5 most impactful free agents, superstar or not, this offseason? Which teams will make the biggest improvement in 2026? Good question.
Well, free agents, there's really not that many good free agents right now, truth be told. Like most of them, like here, let me just pull up a list here.
Peyton Watson, we know.
But he's a restricted.
Restricted, yeah.
Okay. So LeBron James is a unrestricted free agent. He's the top name. Norman Powell, see, it's not saying if he's restricted or not. All right, wait, hang on. Let me see here. All right, let's just do unrestricted free agents only. All right, LeBron James is an unrestricted. Norman Powell is unrestricted. CJ McCollum is unrestricted. Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, Rui Hachimura, Tobias Harris, Kelly Oubre, Robert Williams, Mitchell Robinson. Those are like the best unrestricted. Let's see the best restricted. Jalen Duren is a restricted. Peyton Watson is a restricted. Walker Kessler, Tari Eason, Mark Williams. And then there's player options as well. Austin Reeves has a player option. James Harden does. Trey Young, Draymond Green. Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, there's not a lot of big names, honestly. The 5 most impactful free agents, probably I would just say Jalen Duren and Peyton Watson would be in the mix just because of how important and pivotal they are. I expect them to remain on their teams. Whatever the Nuggets have to do, even if it's something really stupid, like getting rid of Cam Johnson, I hope it's not. And I hope they get rid of Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray instead. But I expect them to match whatever it is for Peyton Watson. And I expect Jalen Duren to remain on the Detroit Pistons. But still, I'll throw those 2 guys in the mix. I'll put LeBron James in as an impactful free agent just because it's going to be like the biggest story of where he goes or where he ends up. And I think it's a 50-50 chance, maybe 60-40 that it's in LA. But that would mean there's a 40% chance it's elsewhere, which would be a big time story. And like if LeBron goes to Detroit or Cleveland, like he can make a big difference then, whether for the good or the bad. He can be impactful moving on into the next season. I'll also say I like Norman Powell a lot. I think he probably also stays put in Miami, but I think he gets a big deal. Probably like 30 mil a year would be my expectation. At least like 25 at least. And then I'll just say CJ McCollum. He was so good post-trade deadline for Atlanta. I think Atlanta has to keep him. He's older. He's 34 years old. But I think he can be had for maybe 20, 25 mil a year. So maybe like a 2-year deal, like 2 years, like $50 million, something like that for Atlanta to retain his services. So like those are kind of the guys that I think will be the biggest needle movers this summer. But unfortunately, like I don't expect much intrigue with them moving places because I think they're going to stay. I think all those guys, I think there's a pretty fair and even shot that they all just stay where they're already at. Go ahead, Gary.
Someone in the chat says Detroit should get Norman Powell. That could be a good fit.
It could be, but Detroit's got to figure out what they're doing. Their books, they got a lot of money to deal out. Like they've only got $133 on the books for next year, but they're probably going to have to throw like $280 million at Duren if they want to keep him. Maybe they just keep Ron Holland at his $9 million team option. I think they will extend Asar Thompson to some monstrous deal as well. So I don't know that they're going to have a 3-year $65 million or 3-year $70 million deal available for Norman Powell, but that's a good call and a possibility. Look, I think the Detroit Pistons need to do something major in the offseason in upgrading their offense. And I don't know exactly if it's going to be via trade or free agency. There's not many needle movers in terms of a free agent sign that's out there. So I feel like if teams like the Orlando Magic, for instance, or the Detroit Pistons or the Denver Nuggets want to take the next step, they're not going to be able to do it via free agency. For the Nuggets, because they don't have any cap space, and for those other teams, because there's nothing really that impactful available on the market. So they're really going to have to look and do it via the trade. And that's going to be interesting, though. So, and that should all be able to go down between the lottery and basically like the first or second week in July. So we still will have a bunch of intrigue and things, some interesting things happening around the association immediately following the NBA Finals. So that I like that because that gives us something to talk about still moving forward. Guys, I did it for a second day in a row, I think. I made it out in under 3 hours. Last night was like 2 hours and 49 minutes. Tonight, 2 hours and 30 minutes, which is what I go for. I go for 90 to 230 is my goal, but I can't do it because I am so inundated by your kind generosity and all of the great questions and comments that you guys throw my way. But I made my way through all the super chats. Thank you guys very much. Again, a very generous night from you guys and a fun night with some very funny and fun comments as well. You guys really are a major part of this show and a big reason, honestly, the main reason of why I'm able to do it and why I have such a blast doing it. You guys, continue to bring the energy into the live chat and the funny ass comments and stuff. So thank you guys very much for your continued support, for tuning in, for your generosity and the engagement in general. It always does floor me. And hopefully we have something a little more fun to talk about on Thursday night following what will hopefully be a very spirited San Antonio Spurs victory in propelling us into a Game 7, which Gary says will be on Saturday. So that will be obviously a crazy night as well in the live chat here, Skap Live After Dark. But guys, in the meantime, I just wanted to thank you one last time for being here for me. Thank you, moderator Gary, as always, for coming out and doing what you do for us here. And guys, I hope you all have a great night tonight and a great day tomorrow. I think we'll probably take tomorrow off from Skap Live After Dark. So we'll have a day off to recharge the batteries, and we'll be back with a force on Thursday night following that Game 6 in San Antonio. So guys, have a great day tomorrow, and we will see you in 48 hours. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel.